Hello all, welcome to Up The Poshcast, the Poshcast made by the fans for the fans. Grab yourself a drink, put your feet up and listen in. And by the way, there could be some strong language.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Up The Poshcast. We are recording on a Saturday night after Posh have held on to a 3-0 lead against Bristol Rovers. It got cut down to 3-2, but we've picked up our first 3 points at home of the season. I'm joined tonight by Ashley, John, Del and Lodz, and of course I am Charlie. And yeah, I think we should just get right into the action. So John, what was your summary of today's game? What are your initial thoughts?
It was a bit of a mad one, really, because I thought we were in complete control, and then all hell broke loose after they scored their first goal. And ultimately, we were fairly fortunate to come away with 3 points. I thought they missed some pretty big chances in that last 20 minutes after looking completely devoid of any ideas. And we presented them with a route back into the match, which was quite frustrating. But ultimately, rather than talk about the game, which I thought was a bit mad, I do want to start and just go straight into Fergie's team selection, which I tweeted at the time I hated, and I still hate it now. I think the game itself, it's very easy to think, oh, that was a genius move from Fergie, right? We won. The objective was to win a game of football. We got the 3 points. That's it. He did. We scored 3 goals. We looked more potent at going forward than we had all season. So it's very easy to look at that and think, okay, that was a really good move from Ferguson. But I really don't think it was. I think it's a terrible move, actually. And I think what he did there was he basically played his surprise tactic. And in the first half, they clearly weren't set up to deal with how we were, which was effectively free at the back, and then everybody else very fluid going forward. I mean, even the wing backs were effectively wingers at that point, and they could not deal with it. But at half time, the second half, I didn't think we were great. And that is largely because obviously they had the time to adjust to the system. Now, Fergie's now played that surprise tactic. He can't use it again because teams will be prepared. If we go into the game against Leyton Orient, I'm sure they'll have a process from kickoff to deal with that, for instance. And what he's done by effectively ripping up his original system is completely changed his process. And as a project manager, I think it's so important to ingrain that plan A, and there isn't another plan. You have to get better at that plan. And I know that stubbornness can very much be used against managers from time to time. But if you look at the elite managers, and I'm talking the elite managers at the top of the game, Pep Guardiola, Ange Postecoglou, Mikel Arteta, even Enzo Maresca at Chelsea, none of them ever deviate from their philosophy and their plan. What Ferguson did today is with Ajiboye, for instance, he'd written him off. He offered him to go out to non-league. Ajiboye said no. And then you bring him back and start him. Now, that for me shows that you're doubting your own process instantly. You're doubting everything that you set up for over pre-season, over the early parts of the season, over international break. There's no way we worked at that system over that period. So we effectively had a week's training to go into the game today and use that system. And you've ripped up everything that you've done for almost, a season and a little bit of this season, because we've played the same system effectively throughout that whole time. Now, what do we do going into Orient? Because I think clearly, towards the end of the game, Bristol Rovers worked it out. They started pumping long balls towards Ajiboye. They scored twice. We now go into that game. What system do we play? Probably we go back to the 4-2-3-1. Does anyone probably not think that we're not going to do that? I don't see us playing that attacking away from home. I think we'll go back to the 4-2-3-1. But what Fergie's done now, in my opinion, is he's sown seeds of doubt in the players' minds, because all of a sudden, you've ripped up your system that you've been telling them for a year and a half that this is the way we play. This is how Peterborough United play. And at the we've not even been that bad this season. We've had a tough start to the season. We've not looked great at home. But the first sign of a little bit of trouble, he has ripped that system up and gone, we're going to try something completely new, completely out of the blue. And for me, that doesn't sit right as a project manager. It really doesn't. And we should be talking about how that wins kicked us onto the momentum. And I think if we set up in a 4-2-3-1 today, we would have won that match. They were terrible. Let's face it, they were a terrible team. And I think if we set up in our usual system, we win that match. And we may well have won it more comfortably than we did in the end, because the partnerships are there. They know how to defend. We looked such a mess towards the end of the game that we haven't looked like that for a long time now, whatever we've done with Peterborough, we generally look like we know the system. We looked at a team that didn't know that system, and that's because we've had a week to work on it. So we won the game, which is great, but I don't feel like we've got any momentum going into that Orient game from it. And I think that's all from Ferguson. And I'm really so against that decision that he made today. I really didn't like it. And I don't want to sound negative, because we won a game of football, and ultimately that's a good thing. And I'm really pleased that we did, and we've made a decent start to the season. But I can't get my head around what he did today. It just went against the whole project. I really don't like it. So if anyone thinks differently, please speak now, because I'd love to hear a more positive viewpoint.
Okay, I'm going to speak now then, John. I'll let you add your little say, which is fine. And I admire your passion. You know, me personally, last week we was all talking about like different formations, doing this, something needs to change. He's changed it. Let's all be honest. None of us saw it coming. Okay, even in group chat, when it come out, it's like, well, who's playing who? Who's playing where? Who's doing this? And it was a shock for us. So it was a shock for us, okay, fans that watch it week in, week out. It was a shock for obviously Bristol. Now, who can deny the first half? I thought we looked pretty good, to be fair. Irrelevant of what the setup was, I thought we looked really good. We can't argue with that. So we went 3-0 up and we was looking good. Yet we sort of imploded at the end, but let's not worry about that. We won the game 3-2, and I don't know about you, but I thought it was really enjoyable. I actually enjoyed the game. Yeah, it got a bit nervy at the end when 3-2, yeah, and perhaps they should have won 4-3 or whatever, but they didn't. The fact is we won. I enjoyed it. And you look at some of the players, obviously on the ratings that will come out in the next day or two, you'll see that I've actually been quite complimentary of all the players. Even my mate Ricky and Manny at the start of the season, I had no time from whatsoever. I thought both of those were the top performers. And even Malik, when he come on, I actually thought Malik done pretty well, to be fair. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the game. It was unfortunate that we had 2 injuries. I've read somewhere that, and we've all mentioned it, that both of these injuries could have been avoided. Yeah, they could have been. But then on the flip side, going back to what I keep saying, I want people to get stuck in. I want people to show some bollocks. I want some players to actually, stand up and be counted. Maybe not fucking going to the goalkeeper when the goalkeeper's got control of the ball. Ricky's tackle, tracking back, fair fucking play to him, right? He tracked back. He tried to make the tackle. It didn't work out for him. He got injured. But if he hadn't tried making that, I know it was not in danger, but the player could have broke free. So I'm not going to criticise any of them, because they've done what I keep going on about, is getting stuck in. I enjoyed the game today. I don't want to be negative. We won 3-0 as far as I'm concerned. Fuck the other 2 goals. Bollocks to them. We won. Let's not worry about the 2 goals. But no, in all seriousness, I don't think we can be disappointed with how we looked the first half, because it did look pretty good. I was impressed. But as I say, it did fuck up at the end when we 2 quick goals. And it's like most weeks, even when we have the other system that we've been starting with, when we go behind, we normally fall apart at the end anyway. So it's no different, whatever system. Overall, I agree with what you're saying, but I disagree wholeheartedly today. The system was different. We got a good performance in the first half. Let's take the positives out of what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that a lot of the players were impressive today, and I agree with you that it was an entertaining game, Dale. What I would sort of push back on, which is I think will sort of align with what John was saying, is that, you spoke about, how none of us knew where anyone was going to play, and that obviously caught Bristol Rovers by surprise as well. The only problem is we can't do that every week. There's only a limited number of systems you can play, only a limited number of players that we have, and only a limited number of skills that they have. We can't change the system every week. And the fact that Darren Ferguson has felt like he had to rely on a massive change to sort of keep Bristol Rovers, who in my view are one of the worst teams that I've seen at London Road in League One for a while, to keep them on their toes and to get force a home win, which we only narrowly got in the end against them, is worrying for me. I mean, I'll point out a good performer. I don't agree with you that Malik was great, but what I will say is that I thought Jack Sparks, for all the criticism he's got from the podcast over the last few weeks, We gave him the player of the match, the man of the match, whatever you want to say. And I thought he thoroughly deserved it. He was excellent today. He should have had more than one assist. You know, he put a great cross in the first half that the strikers weren't alive to. An incredible free kick he took that Ricky J. Jones missed a header inconceivably from close range, even though Ricky did play well today. And then obviously he played that pass for the Malik goal. He was really good, I thought. And so, yeah, I'll give a shout out to Jack Spark. But I don't agree with you, Del, that springing a system change on Bristol Rovers was a good thing in the long run for our team.
Do you know what? I do think that maybe I am with Del on this one. I absolutely fucking loved it. Today was everything that I want from Peterborough United. I came on last week and I said when we were recording that I was bored, and then I said on the clip that we posted on Twitter last night that I was bored again. There was no point in that game where I was bored. I got in an hour before kickoff. I watched them warm up. We looked like we were playing a 4 at the back with Katongo at right back. Again, goes into the whole, like, are we trying to trick Bristol Rovers into thinking that that's the system that they were playing? We then flip and we're starting with the 3/5, depending on the way that you want to look at it. And what you've also got to remember is that Fergie set that system up with the aim of Chris Concart playing. He gets himself injured after sort of 10, 15 minutes through sheer stupidity, going for a ball that was never there to be won. And then that changes everything, doesn't it? Is that we go from, let's say, a 3-4-2-1, and then all of a sudden Mothersille's coming on, and we're playing 2 strikers essentially, because Mothersille's not that creative midfielder. So I loved it. Going 3-0 up, I think we should have had more. And then you can see 2 in 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden the last 15, 20 minutes are, look, are we going to concede again? I tweeted saying that I didn't think the game would finish 3-2. Fortunately, it did. But because I'm pretty confident that if Bristol Rovers got it to 3-3, that they'd have probably gone on a 1-4-3, which would have been everything that they wanted. But that was, for me, proper classic retro Peterborough United, where it was just organised chaos, and I loved it, and I would go again in a heartbeat.
I think today's performance has positives and negatives, and the system change. And I agree with both what John's saying and what Ashley's saying. I didn't like the system change for exactly the same reasons as what John says, and I also still stand by that. I said last week, we've recruited and trained for this system all through the summer and all through last year. To change that after 5 games is ridiculous. And like John said, Fergie's lost all confidence in his own abilities if he's making that changes that soon, especially against the Bristol Rovers side, who let's be honest, is one of the worst teams in the division. I think we could have played the same system as we played last week with the same lineup, and we would have got the same result. Maybe even a better performance. Who knows? But then I also agree with Ashley that it was a lot more entertaining for the fans. We were complaining a lot that we just seemed to pass the ball around and not really have any attacking intent. And the one thing that the system change did for us today was it allowed Jack Sparks to get further up the pitch, who I agree with Charlie, who was our best player. His delivery into the box was great, and that's what we've been lacking the last few weeks. We've created probably 5 times the amount of chances as we have been in recent times. It also allowed Poku some more space in the pitch. It felt like, especially whilst Con Clark was on the pitch, that both him and Poku had sort of free roles in between the midfield and Ricky. So you've got Ricky stretching the back line, creating space for Poku and Con Clark to just do whatever they want. And it was really, really effective and really entertaining. Where do we go from here? I don't know. I don't think we could play with that chaotic against the big teams. It's Bristol Rovers at the end of the day, and we almost fucked it at the end. So we'll see what happens at Orient, but we've got Birmingham next week. We can't play that way against Birmingham. I think we'll get torn apart. I can't see us creating the same amount of chances, and I can't see us getting away with what we did at the end of the game today against Birmingham.
Do you know what? I think that again today was probably one of those ones where people start to appreciate Ricky and the contribution that he has to the team. Obviously, the goal, fantastic, picks it up, runs it pretty much half the length of the pitch and takes it around the keeper, which is something that he's been criticised of doing wrong in times gone past. And then he maybe should have had another one, but I asked Charlie and said, look, when was the last time that Ricky scored 2 in a game? We don't think he's ever scored 2 in a game. So he's got the one. And then ultimately, when you look at it, he comes off the pitch and then we're conceding goals because we've lost that natural pressure that he provides onto defenders because we don't have a replacement for him at the moment. Now, I keep looking and I keep thinking, is this lad that we've got from Sweden going to come in? And is he going to be sort of a like for like? I hope so, because I'm pretty confident that we're going to lose Ricky in January. But it was another like appreciation of somebody that is just going to run their heart out for this football club. The lad is Peterborough through and through, and it will be a shame when we lose him. And I think that people will then not appreciate him. And then going back to what Charlie mentioned as well, Jack Sparks, bloody hell, what a turnaround that was. He has been battered by us every single week since he joined the club and ultimately looked like absolute cannon fodder to the point where it was like, when is Adebisi going to be back fit so that he can come into the team and we've got this left back that we need to play this system that we play. Absolutely fantastic. Great defending at the back post again, I thought today. And then in terms of the balls in, it finally looked like he was going to put those balls in from that sort of just 30-yard position on the wing and just find people in space. And what a relief that, again, the money that we've spent on this player, that it finally looks like it is a worthwhile investment. So I'm absolutely delighted for him. Like I've said before, I don't want to come in here and bash people week in, week out. Thank fuck he's finally shown what he's all about and what those Portsmouth fans told us about him when he made that transfer to us.
Yeah, I reiterate both of those points, Ash. I think Ricky, even after sort of, like, I think it was like 20 seconds of the game, Bristol Rovers played the ball back to their goalkeeper and their keeper tried to kick it and it just came off Ricky's back and looped up into the sky and then had to be recycled in midfield. And even that just set the tone straight from the off that we were going to be all over them, that we were going to be aggressive, that we were going to be pressing. And that's what we need. So yeah, I thought Ricky's performance, it was a shame he had to go off earlier and he didn't get to maybe get another chance and maybe get another goal. But yeah, I thought he was, when he was on, he was excellent. Really, really good. And then yeah, Sparks was such a marked transformation. I think I've always sort of, I think, been probably the most defensive on here about Jack Sparks, especially after like Shrewsbury when he was being sort of attacked for the whole illness gate. I have always said that he really didn't have a good preseason. He needed to get to fitness. Fergie said that it was going to take him until Lincoln time to get fully fit, and today he looked so much more athletic, so much more energetic. He looked like a player that could easily have played on past the 90 minutes and still kept giving his all and still kept playing well. He looks like a player that could really pull the strings for us from left back again, like Burrows did last season. So yeah, I was a huge fan of Jack Sparks. And then I'll also just talk quickly Kyprianou as well, because I think we were critical of him last week. We sort of, I think, described him as like a captain deserting his post almost, in the fact that his performance wasn't the best. He didn't show good leadership. But today I felt like his leadership was better. I was watching him a lot. He was really vocal. He was getting the team going. He was a lot better in his positioning. The pass he played for the first goal was fantastic. So yeah, that's 3 points of praise. It feels nice to be able to really give honest praise. Now, I'm sure there's a few performances that weren't great, but yeah, those 3 are my 3 players that I was really impressed with today. Players that I maybe had a few concerns about that have definitely gone away to get rid of those concerns in my mind.
Charlie, I think you probably summed up pretty well the 3 key players, but I actually want to single out Kwame Poku as well, because I think it's worth giving him a mention just for the start of the season that he's had, because I think there's one thing you could maybe accuse Poku of over the years is that he's lacked his goal scoring threat, but that's now 4 goals for him this season, I believe. And I said when the season started, I fancy him to get 10 goals and 10 assists, and I still really, really do think he can do that. And if he keeps scoring goals at this rate, in a system where he is really carrying the attacking threat, let's face it, I think some of the other attackers probably haven't hit the heights of last season. You look at someone like Joel Randall, he's certainly dropped off in terms of performance levels. And then Abraham Odo, I think, has shown flashes, but he doesn't really carry too much of a goal threat. And even Ricky and Malik, up until today, hadn't really troubled the net at any stage, or at least looked a threat. So Poku has been sort of a lot of attention directed towards him, but he's still managed to come through that, and he's still managed to score goals for us at a regular rate, and even more regular than he has been in previous seasons. So if he keeps this up, he's going to be a hell of a player, because he's on course to get sort of up towards 20 goals, which is really, really impressive, I think. And I do think it's worth a shout to just say how well he started this season, because if he starts scoring goals, he's not going to be with us for too much longer, I don't think.
Yeah, look, and fantastic. I fucking love being positive. Here we are after sort of 6 games in the season, 10 points on the table. Better than we were last season, which I know that Charlie's taken some pelters for this week, but the points don't lie, do they? The one disappointing thing is probably the naivety and maybe a little bit of stupidity from Clark to sort of be absolutely clattered by their goalkeeper, and I am frustrated with that. And I originally put him at a 4, and then Charlie started talking about Fergie's post-match interview, and then it was a 3, and it was a 2, and it's a 1. He's gone for a nothing ball. He didn't need to put himself there. This is not one of those throwing your body about moments. The keeper's up and keeper's won the ball, and he's been clattered by him and has now broken his collarbone. That's 3-4 months that we've lost him for now. What a shit start to your career at Posh. And ultimately, it's basically going to be fitness work for him now, isn't it? Because he's going to have an arm in his sling for the next 3-4 months. Maybe he'll come back a fantastically strong player. But for the first 10, 15 minutes of that game, he looked like he was the real deal again. And that was the player that we signed, and he was fantastic. And he was going to walk off with probably all of the plaudits from us. And then he's done something so stupid and naive and just fucked himself to the point where he's had to go off and be replaced by somebody. Really, really frustrating and really, really disappointing for me.
Yeah, there are points, if I really wanted to start looking, I could find negativity in lots of different things. But I thought today I'm going to be like Mr. Positive with everything, and from the negative, what we just said about Clark, I think I've already alluded to earlier. Yeah, it was a bit naive, but from my point of view, I'm happy that he sort of put a bit of bollocks on the line and got stuck in, because that's all I want to be seeing. Ricky, with that horrible injury, again, normally he wouldn't track back. Granted, it was a silly thing to do, but he didn't need to. But I keep going on about these players like tracking back, getting stuck in. So overall, the day I'm trying to look at all the positives from today. I don't think there's really any big negatives I'm going to start crying about. I didn't think Hector was as good as what some others thought. But I don't think anybody was pretty poor. I don't think anybody deserved a 5, in my opinion. I don't think anybody was less than an average. I'm trying to think now really quickly whether or not I did put anything over the 5 on my scores, but I don't think I did. I was actually I was being really generous to them all, because I enjoyed the game. I think it's the probably most enjoyable game that I've had all season. We've always said that if you score 2, we'll score 3. And we need to be careful what we keep asking for. I'm happy with that. I'll take 3. Granted, I'd rather be 2 down and come back to 3-2 rather than be 3-0 up and then, nearly lose it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I actually think it was a good game. There was little mistakes all over the pitch, but fucking hell, it's League One, and I'm taking it. I'm not being negative at all about anything, apart from the attendance was fucking awful again. How we say we've got 8,000 people there, load of bollocks. Go back to my little favourite, the GH stand. What did I have? 200 Bristol Rovers. We had, I don't know, 150, 200 in the thingy. I can understand, if we want to get the GH, and I said it last week, if we want to get the GH as our home end, people need to start going there. It needs to start filling it up. Otherwise, it will be turned into an away end for the big game, for the big teams that come through. But forget about all that. I enjoyed today, and I was quite positive with it.
I'm going to apologise for this because I'm not going to be positive about today. I am going to be the negative one on the podcast.
Are you tired?
I am tired, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm grouchy. I wouldn't say I'm in a mood, but I just think we're getting a bit carried away. It was 3-2 against Bristol Rovers at home. one of the worst teams in the division. We should be one of the best teams in the division. This should have been a comfortable win, regardless of what team, regardless of what system. And if I'm going to be completely honest, 2 of our 3 goals were counterattacks. And Malik Mothersille in particular has missed 3 clear-cut chances. I think Ricky J. Jones has missed at least 1 clear-cut chance. Creating the chances is not a problem today. That's one thing I will be positive about. We've got the ball in the box plenty of times. The goals that were taken well. I really liked Ricky's finish. He's been criticised for not making an angle on the goalkeeper before, but he's managed to take that extra touch, which was past the goalkeeper. Really, really great finish. But Mothersille, he could tweet about us talking on his name, and I think he's gone back today and he's liked some tweets from last week or the week before of people criticising his performances. I don't think he was that good. And I've given him a 4 out of 10, and that's probably harsh. And I know Charlie has as well. And I think Max gave him a 5 out of 10. So perhaps it's just the people that viewed the game from the East Stand that have criticised him over the people that had different angles of the game. I don't think a striker can miss 3 clear-cut chances and anyone say that they've had a good game. I think if you miss 3 clear-cut chances in a game as a striker, you've had a stinker. He's only scored 1. He's lucky that 2 of the chances he's missed were offside because it was irrelevant anyway, regardless of the scoreline as well. But they were terrible, the misses. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, they were. I also watched pretty much with Lodz from the East Stand. And I can tell you, especially that one in the first half where sort of I think Ricky won the ball back, and then the ball came to him and he, I don't know what he did, just messed it up royally. And he just needs to put his head down, start playing well, start scoring goals, and then he can start giving it all the, don't speak on my name, because right now he's not doing anything to warrant shushing everyone every time he puts the ball in the back of the net from 6 yards. He's not doing enough. The last 20 minutes of the game, he was very poor. And I know he wasn't involved massively in terms of, defensive work, but he was just sauntering around, walking around. We're trying to defend a lead we have with all our life. People putting their bodies on the line, left, right, and centre. And he's trotting around the middle of the pitch in an area where he wasn't being an effect. He wasn't helping with the defensive effort. He certainly wasn't helping us counter-attack. Ado was completely isolated. He just went missing. He got fed up of playing. He came on, he scored a goal, and he thought, that's my job, my work's done. I can put my tweet out now with a cold picture of me pretending to be Mbappe, and it can be over. I'm not having it. I gave him a 4 out of 10. I'll back that. I don't think his performance was good. I don't think his performance was anything special. And if Ricky's fit, Ricky starts for me every single time over Malik at the minute. I think Malik still has a lot to learn, and I think I will always back the players. But Malik has got to a point now where this sort of weird petulant attitude that he has, backed up by some very adequate, if not subpar performances, are not doing it for me. Malik Mothersille needs to step up his game, and then he can start talking about people talking on his name.
Okay, do you know what, Charlie? Some of that I'm going to agree with you. Fucking talk on my name. What a load of bollocks. And I'm all cold. I agree with you. He ain't that fucking good to be like, so look who I am. All right. But I don't think he was that bad today. On the pitch as a player, I don't think he was that bad. Just going back to what Lodz was saying, somebody who misses 3 clear-cut goals, chances, must be shit. I refer you back to Craig Mackail-Smith. Fuck me. He needed 4 or 5 shots on target to get a goal. Okay, so I don't think we really need to sort of criticise him too much of that. I do think it's his best game that he's had for us so far this season. Not up to the level where it needs to be, but I think it's a lot better than he has been. I thought some of his sort of running down the wing, the cross that he done for Ricky was okay. So keeping my positivity in mind, I don't think he was that bad. Really don't think he was that bad. But yeah, as far as his fucking Twitter shit, mate, grow up for fuck's sake. Start fucking ticking likes from last week and what I saw when he was criticising. But anyway, when you're really good, do what you fucking want. And then until then, just improve on scoring. Okay.
Can I just say, I think everyone's way overreacting about Malik tweeting talk on my name. I think if he wants to use fans criticising him as motivation, then let him fucking do it. Like, it's not the end of the world. He's not said Peterborough United fans are shit. He just put talk on my name. We don't even know if that was directed at Posh fans in itself. And now all of a sudden, he's just become this barrage for he's almost become a bit of a scapegoat. He's almost taken Ricky's role just from one tweet. And I don't get it, because Malik was fine today. He was absolutely fine. You're all talking like he had a stinker. He was fine. He ran the back line pretty well. He got in behind a few times. He travelled with the ball deep really well at one stage in the first half when Ricky fell over when he tried to slot him through. Malik was fine. He wasn't brilliant. And there are things that he needs to learn and refine in his game. But actually, he's a player with plenty of upside. We all agreed about that at the start of the season. In fact, there was multiple members of this podcast calling for him to start over Ricky J. Jones. And I said, I'd rather Ricky. But I do think Malik has a lot of upside, and he does. And what people need to think is this just criticising him for the sake of it and saying he had a 4 out of 10 performance today is a joke, Lodz. Sorry, I'll be honest. It's a joke. It's way too strong. There's no way he was a 4 out of 10. You said yourself 2 of the chances were offside that he missed. There's no way he was less than a 6 out of 10, for instance, today. He was fine. He did his job. He wasn't a standout performer. But let's not go overboard on just hammering a young lad that's still learning his game and still in his second season of professional football. I think it's ridiculous. I really do. I think we're way too harsh on him. And actually, we need to be positive behind him, because if he is feeling the pressure of these fans and feels the need to talk about it, let's build him up. He was flavour of the month at one stage, so maybe we'll see better performances out of him if the fans are actually behind him.
With hindsight, a 4 out of 10 probably is harsh, but I still stand by what I said with the clear-cut chances. And Delly's right. Mikhail Smith went through that phase of him missing chances, but he got the same criticism at the time, and it wasn't that he had to miss a load of chances to score 1 goal in the game. It was he got better at finishing. I don't remember many games when Mikhail Smith would miss 5 and score 1 and we'd praise him. I don't think that's ever happened. I think it was more he was crap at finishing, like what we've said about Ricky last season. And I think Malik will go through that same phase, and he needs to work on it if he wants to be a striker. And bear in mind as well, we've now got 4 strikers on the books, essentially. 5 if you include Wakeland. We've got Ricky, Bradley and Mothersille all fighting over one spot at the moment, with a big Swede coming in January to add to that. If Malik plays like he does today, he's not going to get a new contract and he'll be gone in the summer. That's the way I see it. And he had to go on the wing today and he lost the ball a lot and he held on for too long. This is just what I've seen from my view of the East Stand. So whether you guys had a better view from what he did on the other end of the pitch, fair enough. But I think with Charlie and Max's rating similar to mine, I think our view, that's what we saw.
I'm gonna agree with John. I think everybody's being really fucking harsh on him. Let's just like stick to the fact that we've conceded 2 goals today, which means that his 3rd goal is the match winner. Right? That's the line. That's the important thing from all of this is nobody else, and I'm going to say this, nobody else in this squad takes that touch and finishes that ball. Mark my words on that. With his right foot and then finishes it with his left. No way. Don't tell me Poku does it. Don't tell me Ricky does it. Don't tell me that Otto does it. He's the only one that can do it. I'm telling you that now. He has that calmness that you learn from being at Chelsea and a Premier League club to be able to do that. Yes, he's still very raw, but he's played probably no more than, let's say, 30 full games worth. So he still has stuff to learn. But at the end of the day, he's won us the game today. I said it about 5 seconds before we conceded the 2nd goal. I said, it's a good fucking job that we've scored 3 today. And then we concede again. So it's 2. So if we've only scored 2 and Malik's that shit, but he scored a goal, if he misses that chance, it's 2-2. And then we go and lose the game, don't we? Yeah?
I mean, Ash, I usually not always agree with you, but at least see where you're coming from. But that was like a load of waffle. Oh my goodness. First of all, the 3rd goal is the match winner. No, it wasn't as if he scored a winner at 3-2. But you could say any of the 3 goals were the match winner. It wasn't as if I'm not taking.
Hang on. No.
I'm not taking a
You
third
can't come and
goal.
talk to me about waffle. If we don't score a third goal, we don't win the game today. It's as simple as that.
If we
3
don't
is
score the
bigger
first
than
goal, we
2.
don't win the game. If we don't score the second goal, we don't win the game. I don't know why it's his goal that is being the third goal when it's 2-0 that you're saying is the most important goal. The most important goal of the game was the first goal, in my opinion. That was the match winner because then we had the momentum. And second of all, you can't talk
I wanted
about
to try and defend you on Twitter, but you're going to get fucking hammered for this when this goes out, by the way.
You're
going to get
talk.
absolutely fucking battered for it.
Okay, but you can't talk about Malik's incredible composure when you look at the chances he's missed. You talk about, his Premier League composure. Nobody takes that touch and finishes it in the squad. First of all, I think there is quite a few players in the squad that would take that touch and finish it. I'd back Poku to take it. I'd back Ado maybe even to take it with his good close control. I would back several of our players to take that chance. And second of all, and I think the most important thing is, you can't talk about his composure when you look at some of the chances he's missed this season. He missed one on the goal line at Shrewsbury. Literally he was stood on the goal line. He missed an open goal. He's not this super cool, calm, composed individual that he's portraying himself to be. And I know I may sound harsh on Malik here, and maybe my opinion is stronger than it should be on Malik. But what I will say is that I don't appreciate it if when a player's coming out and John, that's a fair point. He may have been talking about someone else talking on his name, but the way he interacts with social media and the way he interacts with the fans and the arrogance of liking another tweet, liking tweets from last week saying he had a bad performance, which he did, and that this week is just weird behavior. And it was okay if he was banging them in every single week, but he's not. He scored 1 goal out of 4 very good chances he had. He's missed some rotters this season. He should do what Ricky's doing. Get your head down, work, get Mikhail Smith working on you like Ricky's done this summer. Make an angle, sort yourself out, become the player that you need to be. And then you can have all the ego you want. But at this current point, I think the way that he conducts himself off the pitch and the way that he conducts himself on the pitch are completely disproportional.
Yeah, but Charlie, you know that that's not true because you know that Ricky's liked my tweets when I've praised him. So you can't say that Ricky just keeps his head down because he doesn't. Because I've got the proof that he's liked my tweets when I've mentioned him and praised him because he's obviously happy with it. Like Mothersille has come on to the...
There's a difference between liking praise. There's a difference between liking praise and actively going out of your way to sort of deny... and a lot of it wasn't even bad stuff, like deny criticism. There's a difference. I understand Ricky liking your tweets, and you also have a relationship with Ricky. But Malik is just scattergunning all around Twitter, and I just don't appreciate. I just don't appreciate it, and I think that a lot of Posh fans will probably feel the same.
That's no different. That's no different to what I do. I've got bookmarks and bookmark folders from all of these fans. I will go back to tweets months and years ago if they become relevant. There was a lad that said he was going to donate 50 quid for every goal that Wrexham scored today against Crawley because he thought they were going to dick them 5-0. They've not. They've only won 2-0. So what's the difference? Like I know that Dell told him that he needs to grow up. I'm 30 years old and still doing that. I said when he first put that tweet out, I fucking love it. Show some attitude, show some nature about it, and just sort of back it with chest. Like he's obviously confident in himself that he wants to do it. So if he wants to go out and find tweets with people talking about him, be my guest. I fucking love it. We don't want these like plain Janes that just come in, they do their job, they go home, they're not bothered about it. That's not what superstars are created by. And I'm not saying that Malik Mothersille is a superstar, but if you look at all of the high-profile footballers that become successful, they acknowledge the criticism, they take it on, and they get better from it. This lad is, 19, 20 years old. He has another 10 years of playing football where he will become a fantastic footballer. And I'm confident that all of this criticism that he acknowledges and acknowledges that he sees will make him a better footballer.
Just going back to Ricky, I'm going to change the subject really quickly, totally. Come back if you want. But I've got a friend who's currently in hospital recovering from, having cancer treatment. And over the last week or two, there's a few players have actually gone in to see him. Yesterday, Ricky was one of them. And this is the sort of things that players do and people don't really sort of don't know they actually do them. They didn't have to go out their time all the way down to Cambridge Hospital to go and see him. So speedy recovery to you, mate, and well done to the players.
We'll move on to Leyton Orient, obviously, which is an away game we've got on Tuesday night in the capital. We won there 2-1 last season. Hector Cipriano's old club as well. Ash, I'll go to you first. How do you preview the game?
Last year was my first time at Leyton Orient, and I really loved it, and I'm really looking forward to going again and being in London under the lights. It's another one of those sort of special moments, isn't it? Like, it's a nice old school ground with all of those modern quirks to it at the same time. And I mean, do you know what? I wasn't too impressed with Leyton Orient so far this season, but they've gone and spanked somebody 4-1 today, so I'm a little bit nervous now, if I'm being completely honest. Especially after at 3-0, I was like, oh yeah, we're good here. When it comes back to 3-2, I'm a little bit concerned, if I'm being totally honest. So I'm interested to see how we go. Are we going to stick with the 3, or are we going to go back to the 4? Like John said before, I think that we don't need to play the 3 away from home, because naturally there will be more space, because teams are going to come out at us. They're not just going to defend for their lives for sort of 90 minutes and hopefully nick a goal. But one thing is for certain, Hector Cipriano will score, because he absolutely loves scoring against Leyton Orient. And then everybody can go back and dig up that tweet from that lad when we bought Cipriano, and they all said thanks for the money. And that's one of my personal highlights of playing Leyton Orient, is when Cipriano scores and we say thanks for the money for that old bloke. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to walk in with blind confidence, but I would hope to get a result at Leyton Orient this week.
So I think in every single one of these so far, I've predicted a Posh win, apart from maybe on the opening day of the season, Huddersfield. I think this is a tough game. I think it's probably a tougher game than it looks on paper if you looked at the league positions. As Ash has mentioned, Orient away I never find it an easy game. I always think it's a struggle. And even last season, when we were in pretty good form when we went there, the game itself was a bit of a grind by the end of it. We scored early, but we never really controlled the game. And I do have some concerns going into it, actually. One, about the setup, because like we mentioned earlier, I'm not too sure how we're going to go into the game. I do think it'll be 4-2-3-1, but you know, it's a coin toss at this point, I think. And yeah, without Ricky, who looks probably like he's going to be injured, I do think Con Clark's also a loss at this point. I know he hasn't had too much of an influence, but I do think the way today was going, he probably would have started again on Tuesday night. So we're likely to see Randall come in, I believe, if we start from the off after a rest. And Randall's not really found his feet this season. And Malik's another one with the jury's still out on this season, despite me defending him. I don't think he's had an amazing season so far. And I think Ricky offers us a little bit more, particularly away from home, where you want to get, you know, that pressure the defense and not let them have control of the match. So I do have some real concerns going into this one. And if you offered me a point, I think I'd probably take it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, John. And the point I agree with you most on is that I do think it will be the 4-2-3-1. And I do genuinely believe that we're going to end up playing the same team that we played against Lincoln, where it will be Curtis right back, Sparks left back, Randall's going to start in the 10, Ado will start wide. I think what sort of... it wouldn't surprise me as well if Ajiboye doesn't even make the squad again, despite having come in and played right back. I really think that it's going to sort of be one of those things where Fergie's made that sort of big change at home to try and fix, you know, or break a duck at home. But away from home, this team, you know, the one with Ado and Sparks and Poku and Curtis is the right and left side partnership. They've been good, won both their away games, come through them relatively unscathed, good performances. I don't know why he'd change from that away from home. He needs to sort his head out at home. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. And I do think it will be the 4-2-3-1. And especially because Randall did not play today, I think he will definitely be starting. And he'll definitely start at Birmingham away, because this is the kind of game that Fergie needs his system players, needs his Joel Randalls to help him get through.
I'm going to sound a bit like a broken record, because I think I say this most weeks. There is probably about 75% of the teams in League One I would expect us to beat. And Leyton Orient is one that I consider amongst those 75%. And that's on the basis that we are one of the best teams in the league, which is what we said at the start of the season. I do agree we should go back to the system. I think we should just ignore what we did today. I think we're forced to play Randall, like John said. And Mothersille's probably going to get a chance to play up front. Hopefully silence his critiques in me and Charlie and bag himself a couple of chances. As long as Jack Sparks is getting up the pitch and putting balls in like he has done today, and the rest of the players around Poku can create the space for him to move into and do what he can do best, I don't see an issue with this system against, like I said, 80%, 75, 80% of the teams in this league. So yeah, I would be expecting a win against Orient.
To be fair, I'm expecting a win against Leyton Orient, but as far as the system, I'm not really bothered what system we play, providing we go out and enjoy it. I know I said last week, let's go 4-4-2, because I was all about changing the system and making it more entertaining. Providing a game is as entertaining and we're sort of getting stuck in as much as we did today, I'm happy with that. And also, most of you actually know Leyton Orient's one of my favourite away days. Exeter is one of them as well. Obviously, we've done that. But Leyton Orient, you go down there, you get your pie, mash and liquor. Hopefully, I might be able to get some from the local place, or I think we'd sell it in the ground, which would be quite nice. If none of you have ever had it, right, have a little bit. Can't beat it. And also on a little advertisers thing, you can see behind me a nice little canvas. If anybody's interested in canvases with some nice little pictures on that you want doing, FC stickers, they'll be able to help you out. You know, not bad money either. So a little pun. There we go, there, Lodz. A little pun for you. So yeah, Leyton Orient, not too fussed what this formation is. I don't know if we've got any strikers left because what's his name? Bradley's out for a few weeks. You've got Ricky out for a few weeks. You've got Con Clark, who was up front, out for a few weeks. Malik, well, he's about Malik, isn't it? Yeah, I just don't know what the formation is going to be. But there we go. All right.
Well, yeah, I think I agree with you, Dale. The most important thing is that we enjoy the football. None of us would be going to the football if we didn't enjoy it. So yeah, I mean, I think there will always be that extra excitement around an away game anyway. So yeah, I do think it will be the 4-2-3-1. I think it should be a good game. So we'll move on to our score predictions now. So Ash, I'll start with you. How do you see this one playing out?
I'm going to have some blind confidence and contradict what I said about it being a tough game and we're going to win 3-1. I just think that we've got the knack of scoring goals after today, and we're going to get 3 more. I do get a feeling that we might play the 3 again because of how advanced that let Jack Sparks be, which would hopefully contribute to something slightly more fluid up front. But yeah, 3-1 for me.
John, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. Sorry, I really want to predict Posh to win every week, but honestly, I'm not that confident going into this one. 1-1 seems about right to me.
We're going to win 4-2. We don't keep clean sheets, do we? And do you know what? Earlier today, I actually thought we was going to get the 5-6-7-0 at Bristol Rovers. I've got to be honest. I genuinely thought we was going to get a hatful. And then he's like, oh, bollocks. But anyway, I'm going 4-2. I'm never, ever, ever going to say we're going to keep a clean sheet again. So 4-2. And I do believe Manny will score a header just for the shits and giggles, Ash.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get the clean sheet either. We've not had one this season yet, have we? I don't think Orient away is going to be the time we do that. I think it might be 2-1. I think it will be a close game. And I think there will be a part of us that's preparing to play against Birmingham. So there might be a bit more defensive work from us. So it might be a case of we'll score early and try and protect it a little bit.
Yeah, I will go for a cagey affair. I'll go 2-1 Posh. And I'm going to say that Jack Sparks is going to score an absolute worldie. It's going to come out to him, be rolled to him. He's just going to left foot it. All right. Run to the away end. It's going to be fantastic. yeah, I'm thinking, that's my prediction, and I think it will be a very, very nice Tuesday night's work. So, yeah, I think that's it for Up the Poshcast this weekend. Finally, a home win that we talked about. Some positivity, some negativity. Let's hope it's going to be all positivity in our special midweek episode that we have coming this week. Lots of games, so we'll have an episode about Birmingham away and reviewing Leyton Orient later in the week. So keep an eye out on our social media for promotion of that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening at home. Get any comments in on any of the social media platforms. We always love seeing what you have to say about the podcast. Up the Posh.
Up the Poshcast.
Other pod.
Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Up The Poshcast. Let us know your feedback. Give us any ideas for topics you would like to discuss or any questions you'd like us to answer. Up The Poshcast. Have I ever told you the story about fucking Jerry McAleany?